I'm Ben Meiselas from Legal AF, joined by Karen Friedman Agnifilo. Big breaking news to report. Federal Judge Tanya Chutkan in Washington, D.C., just set a trial date in the case brought by special counsel Jack Smith against Donald Trump for Trump's attempts to overthrow the 2020 election. The trial date that has been set March 4th of 2024. Let me repeat that, a March 4th, 2024 trial date, but there's a lot more to the story than even just that trial date. How did Judge Tanya Chutkan arrive at the trial date? What were the dramatic moments taking place in federal court? You had a fairly unhinged Donald Trump legal team in court. Judge Chutkan had to say, can you please turn the temperature down multiple times to Trump's lawyers, who continued over and over again to interrupt her as she was speaking. They can continue to say, this is a miscarriage of justice, Judge. This is a miscarriage of justice. We are not ready. We can't proceed until 2026. And Judge Chutkan said, enough. This case is not going to trial in 2026. You will have more than enough time to prepare. And again, I don't care if there's a political campaign. That's not what my focus is here. My focus here is to ensure that there is a speedy trial in the public interest. And that doesn't just go for the right of a criminal defendant, that goes for the public interest as well. And I want to balance that as well with the right of a fair trial for a criminal defendant. That's what I'm doing March 4th, 2024. Karen, take us through what went down, because as I understand it too, Judge Chutkan had to coordinate with some of these other cases.
Oh my God, it's like a chessboard, right? Trying to figure out, okay, what's going to go, what's not going to go, where do these cases fit in? And Judge Chutkan had a lot to consider, right? Jack Smith asked that this case go January 2nd of 2024, and Trump's lawyers asked for March of 2026, right? So 2 years later than the date that was actually set, which also pretty much means never. And the argument was over how much preparation it takes and how much time it takes to prepare. And Judge Chutkan is giving them more than enough time to prepare for this case. It's not the most complicated case in the world. It's 4 counts, it's 1 defendant. The discovery is all going to be turned over. And she said what I thought was really interesting. It's what we've always said on Legal AF many times, is that the judges will coordinate schedules. And what Judge Chutkan said is she talked to Judge Juan Merchan, who's the judge overseeing the Alvin Bragg case in the Manhattan DA's office. That case was scheduled for March 24th, and she consulted with him, with Judge Merchan, and asked whether her case could go first in March of 2024. And clearly the state court judge, because I know Judge Merchan, and I've said many times on Legal AF, he would of course defer to a federal judge, and he did. And there you have it. So I'm not surprised also that Judge Chutkan wanted to go before Judge Cannon, because Judge Cannon has already shown that she is going to very much lean into and accommodate Trump and his co-defendants. That case also has some CIPA, the Classified Information Procedures Act, issues that are still yet to be resolved. And so trial dates, there can be slippage, meaning it can slip forward in just the most normal of cases. But when you have a 3-defendant case that has 3 dozen charges with confidential classified documents, that case absolutely has the potential for slippage, for it not going in May. And so Judge Chutkan will not want to put herself in the position where her case gets bumped because of that case. So she's going to put her case before that. So I'm not surprised that she put a date before May, and she thinks that March is more than enough time to start this case. I think she's going to make this case start in March. March is an excellent date also because it gives enough time before the election. The May case, I think, bumps close to the election in November. So I think this is a brilliant date for her. And I think the case will be settled one way or another for the voters in November.
Karen, couldn't agree more with you. Some other notable things taking place. You had special counsel Jack Smith was in the room as well. We are learning you had the lawyers for the prosecutors were Tom Wyndham as well as Molly Gaston. They're the teams representing the special counsel's office and the people there. You had John Lauro and Todd Blanche on behalf of Donald Trump there. And we really saw from all of the reporting out there a very abrasive Lauro, John Lauro, criticizing the judge, saying that this is a miscarriage of justice, saying that he needs more time to prepare, saying that it would be impossible to prepare given this time frame. One of the major points that Molly Gaston from the special counsel's office, who works with Jack Smith, reminded the judges, Judge, remember back on August 11th, where you talked about and you admonished Donald Trump's lawyers. You said one of the factors that would make an earlier trial date more likely would be if Donald Trump continued to harass and intimidate witnesses and continued to engage in that social media conduct. What Gaston argued on behalf of the special counsel's office and the government was there is an extraordinary public interest in a fair and speedy trial. On a near daily basis, Donald Trump, the criminal defendant, continues to post on his social media about this case. And as Your Honor was concerned about, this conduct could potentially prejudice the jury pool, and that is exactly what Trump is trying to do. So that argument was made as well. One of the things that Gaston also brought up on behalf of special counsel Jack Smith's team is look at all these other interviews that John Lauro and Trump's lawyers have been making when they go on these media tours. They say that they're ready. They say that they've read former Vice President Pence's book and they've already prepared the cross-examination. Look what the lawyers are saying. They say that this is an easy case. They're ready. Donald Trump doesn't even need time to prepare. And then one of the things that they said is, look, we've turned over all these documents already, discoveries basically, other than the remaining issue of, just as Karen, you mentioned, the SIPA documents, the Classified Information Procedure Act documents. We've turned over, all of the documents. So discovery's done. Not only did we turn them over as the government, we provided them in an electronic format where you can run search terms. Trump knows who the witnesses are. None of this is coming as a surprise to him. We are ready to go. And ultimately, Judge Tanya Chutkan, she took a 5 to 10 minute recess after hearing all of these arguments. And again, I want to stress this one more time. The level of disrespect that Trump's lawyers showed her during this hearing, I just think was very notable because they really kind of changed tact. I don't know if Donald Trump, went to them and said, "Hey, you're treating her too nicely," at the last one, because again, by all accounts, they were just jumping on her words. They wouldn't let her even talk, where she finally said, "Take the temperature down and stop it." Took a 5-10 minute recess, then issued her order saying a March 4th, 2024 trial date. And Karen, I'm very confident that this case is going to go. I mean, can it be continued 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there? I mean, yes, but for anybody who has a shadow of a doubt that, okay, is this case really going to go? We're going to have a March 2024 trial, knowing Judge Chutkan. I'll give you the final word.
Yeah, two things. Number one, Chutkan said in this hearing she's watching carefully for anything that might affect or poison the jury pool. And she says that if Lauro intends to poll the DC residents for some sort of change of venue motion, they must inform the court ex parte. So really what this is saying, what this means is she's watching what Trump is saying, even if it's not threatening, right, to prosecutors or witnesses, but she's going to watch and see if they're trying to do anything to poison the jury pool, because then what they'll do is they'll try to make a motion to change the venue, saying that they can't find a fair and impartial jury in in Washington, D.C., and no judge will allow the defendant to be the cause of that. If, in other words, if you created the mess that means that you can't get a fair trial, then you have to live with it. We're not going to let you cause this, just like they wouldn't let a defendant cause his own mistrial, because obviously that would encourage defendants to make mischief when they think a case is going very strong and cause a mistrial. So she's going to watch it and not let Trump do that. Also, she's very aware that Trump's strategy is to delay. So she's not going to let Trump delay this in any way. So they're going to do everything they can to cause a problem between now and March that will make it so that somehow there'll be a delay. And she is going to watch that and not allow the defense to do that, because they're just looking for delay for the sake of delay. And one last thing is, it's interesting when you see a lawyer like John Lauro get really angry and loud and jump up and down in court. You have to ask yourself, why would a lawyer do that? Either they've lost control or it's a strategy, right? I highly doubt in a case like this that a lawyer has lost control of their emotions. So clearly that was a strategy. And one asks yourself, why would a lawyer piss off a judge essentially and yell at them? The answer is two reasons. Number one, a lawyer would never do that thinking if they thought they could persuade the judge. So clearly John Lauro assumed the judge already had her mind made up and that there was no persuading her. Number one. Number two, I think he was also doing it for his client, for Donald Trump. Donald Trump likes when people are aggressive. He's said multiple times, you're either a killer or you're a loser. That's kind of his mantra. And so he's looking for his lawyer to be a killer, regardless of what the outcome is. And I think John Lauro was also doing it for his base. That's what they want. They want to know that someone's fighting aggressively. That's essentially the for the court of public opinion. So that's what was happening today in court.
Well, a big update there that the trial date has been scheduled for March 4th, 2024. A lot of other breaking news as well. Karen and I will get to the arraignments in Fulton County, Georgia. We'll do a whole hot take on that because that's scheduled for in a very short period of time as well. We'll break that down. Make sure you go to MeidasTouch.com, get all the breaking news at MeidasTouch.com, and wherever you get audio podcasts, make sure you subscribe to Legal AF. Have a great day.
Lock him up! Indictment season is upon us. Celebrate with the new Indictment Season t-shirt and v-neck exclusively at store.MeidasTouch.com.